I'd like to concentrate on what this budget does and what it doesn't do. I mean, what it does is what Senator Portman was just talking about. It actually sets up a governing process, a control over an appropriation process, so that we can start prioritizing spending. We can start looking at all these appropriation measures and start working in a thoughtful way to start eliminating duplicated programs, eliminate fraud, eliminate waste in federal spending, because there may be a difference in terms of how much government those of us on the Republican side versus the Democrat side want, but we can come together and agree that what we do spend should be spent wisely and efficiently. So that process where Leader McConnell has talked about returning to a regular order, respecting the rights of the minority party, let them offer amendments in an appropriation process. That's a very good thing. That's the primary thing I think this budget does as well, set up, like Leader McConnell said, reconciliation to start repealing Obamacare. Now, what it doesn't do is it doesn't solve our nation's problems. It certainly doesn't solve all the fiscal challenges. But we're going to need presidential leadership. I've told the story repeatedly. I told it during our budget process where we did pass an amendment unanimously that will allow our long-term projections to be expressed in dollars so the American people actually understand the depth of the problem. I come from a manufacturing background. If you're going to solve a problem, the first step is you have to admit you have one. So I want to tell the story of our working with the White House, trying to start coming to areas of agreement with their debt and deficit. And what I brought to that process, being one of the smaller group of Republican senators working at the White House a year or so ago, I brought my accounting skills. I brought my definition of the problem. And the fact is, we don't have a 10-year budget window problem. We have a 30-year demographic problem. All the baby boom generation, we're retiring at the rate of 10,000 people per day. We made all these promises. We haven't made a provision to pay for it. And so if you look at the CBO's alternate fiscal scenario over the next 30 years, they project a deficit of, hold on to your hats, $126 trillion. It's about $8 or $9 trillion the first decade, $31 trillion the second decade, $88 trillion the third decade. Now, when I was in the White House for about a 2-hour meeting, President Obama joined us for the last half of that meeting. He wanted everything on the table for discussion. Fair enough. I said, Mr. President, if you want everything on the table, this is how you get it on the table. Use your bully pulpit. Go to the American public. Show them the truth. Show them the depth of the problem. Show them this massive deficit projection over the next 30 years. You know what he said to me? He said, Ron, we can't show the American people numbers that big. If we do, they'll get scared. They'll give up hope. And he says, besides, Ron, we can't do all the work. We have to leave some work for future presidents, future Congresses. That's the problem. If we're going to solve these problems, we need presidential leadership. We do not have a president of the United States right now who's interested in that. So I've got a relatively modest goals for this current budget, and it really is, let's have this, let's get it passed so it will actually guide that appropriation process. We can do a lot of good work. We can start that process of regular order. And again, I commend Leader McConnell for understanding that, and I commend Senator Enzi for working really hard to produce a budget that we can pass, hopefully with unanimous Republican support. Hopefully we can reconcile that with the House, and I'm looking forward to that process. Thank you.